Welcome to the Diary of a Pan-African Preacher. Frederick Douglass once said, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." Today's diary event is Racial Justice Sunday as celebrated in the United Kingdom. What does that look like? This is a question that has become popular in my interactions with one of my millennial granddaughters. She forces me to move from theoretical assertions to practical, visible illustrations and demonstrations. The discipline of practical theology pushes me, the Pan-African preacher, in the very same direction. It interrogates the Christian ministry's message, methods, and operations as to their relevance to the everyday concerns of the Africans in our churches and in our communities. Racism is just such a concern. Though there are some church leaders and preachers who feel that they can hide behind Paul's assertion that we are all one in Christ and therefore not engage the elephant in the room, this Pan-African preacher has to address the issue of white supremacy and racism in our world and its influence and impact upon my pastoral charges. The classical approach to addressing racism in the Western countries has been to depend on legislation and education to enlighten racists on the humanity of persons who are darker in complexion and who may have different cultural traits. 50 years after the first Race Relations Act in the United Kingdom and the introduction of multicultural education in British schools, the jury is still out as to the effectiveness of those approaches in light of the growing racism in the United Kingdom. What is certainly a dangerous and life-threatening position is to ask my pastoral charges to leave the struggle for change in the hands of those who are resistant to our legitimate demands for change. So along with federal, national, or state legislative and educational initiatives for suppressing racism, we as persons of color in the West, in the African diaspora, must be about our Father's business. In our commitment to upholding the sanctity of life, our lives, because our lives matter, we need to adopt Nehemiah's model of development. He had the builders of the Jerusalem wall hold their trowel in one hand and their spears or swords in the other. In other words, build and defend your institutions in the midst of a hostile environment. To my African millennials, that is what cultural resilience looks like. Ashe.